Hello, friends, and welcome. I'm Sarah Liz, and I'm back with another emergency card kit. If you're new here, an emergency card is one where we make the cards ahead of time. But then when we stock our stash, we make sure that they have room for a sentiment in one of two key interchangeable sizes. Then on the first and third Friday of each month, I release sentiments that fit perfectly in those spots. This is our 2¼ by 1¼ inch circle. So if instead of a birthday card, maybe I needed a holiday card here, or if instead of congratulations, I needed a birthday card, I know that I have free sentiments available to me for any card emergency. It's my favorite way to stock my stash. Let's take a look at the kit. We've been talking about this critter kit for a while, and actually the critter kit got split into, you can see how big this is. And so these are the official water critters. And then sometime in the next month or two, we will have like a furry critters kit as well. The sentiments are already done, but it got so big. I want to make sure we have time to use things as we go. So for sentiments, we have "You're officially awesome," "Fishing you the happiest birthday," "Just keep swimming," "Just keep swimming," "Sending birthday fishes," "Glow big or go home." I love this one. I can't even. "Birthday wishes and jellyfishes." If you got stung by a jellyfish, I would totally pee on you. "You made me ink." "Ready for leg day." "Friends come and go, but true friends stick like an octopus to your face." "Sorry, I was so crabby." "Holy crab, it's your birthday." "Celebrate." "Snappy birthday." These are a 1¾ inch circle, and that printed circle prints just a little bigger. So if you wiggle your punch or your die until you can't see that printed circle, you'll know you have it centered. The next page gives you the same sentiments and the same sizes, but I've removed that circle in case you want to use a different size circle or a different shape altogether. Then we have our card sketch. There is a big 3-inch circle right here. And so I have some specialty ephemera and sentiments to go with that. We did some of that in the last kit and people seem to really like it. So we'll make the sketch today. And then there are 2 fun fold options here. And then there's a note: if I'm using the circle sentiment instead of the rectangle, I like to put it just down here in that bottom right of the circle. Those 3 pages, the card sketch and the 2 pages of circle sentiments, are completely free here on YouTube. They are linked in the description box below the video. All I ask is that you subscribe to my channel. If you would like more bonus pages, I do have a Patreon. It's a membership program. And in my membership program, there's a free option. So from there, there's a whole bunch of additional pages that you can download for free. I'm really excited about these. I will leave a link next to the kit, right? The free YouTube kit is in the description box. But then right next to that is a link to the post in Patreon that will have the kit. And right below that, a tutorial on what my Patreon is and how to join for free if you're new. In those free bonus pages, we have rectangle sentiments. And I love these because there are tick marks to help you cut them out and you don't need any punches or dies. We do have 2 extras. It's the holy crab, but we get it twice. It's your birthday and you really did it. Then we have strip sentiments. These are about 1/4 inch. And once again, you can just use those tick marks to cut them out. Make sure you get them straight. We have 4 different font options. The first are pretty whimsical, and then we have a scripty font, and then a classic serif font. Then we have a bunch of digital paper that is great for all of your sort of water themed cards. So we have this lovely, almost tone on tone bubble theme. And then we get these crabs, you guys, they're so goofy and I love them. So if you haven't used my digital paper before, we've actually been upgrading a little bit. This one has 2 separate pieces. This one will fit an A2 card in portrait, and then this one will fit an A2 in either portrait or landscape. But this way, you're not printing a bunch of extra ink that is stuff you're not going to use. However, as much as possible, I have tried to give you nearly a full page of those backgrounds. So here you can see it on these little crabbies. They're so stinking cute. They look almost like baby crabs. This one has a white background. Again, it's a really great ink saver. If you have borderless printing on your printer, this will go all the way to either side and then all the way to the bottom. So again, these are still in that free kit. Then this is a new pattern for us. I love these circles. They're sort of like bubbles, but they're also just geometric, and they're going to coordinate really nicely with our pattern paper. And then we have another color that will work well on there too. And we just have a really nice big diagonal stripe. There are paid membership options for my Patreon, and the first one starts at just $2 a month. That is the Sassy Friends. And they're going to get those same circle sentiments, but with white text on black. Again, that black circle is going to print just a little bit bigger than that 1 3/4 of an inch. So you don't have to worry about fitting your die on there just perfectly. And then we get the same sentiments, but on sort of a watery, bubbly background. And I love this. There's a little bit of a shadow behind the text to make sure it's still very legible. And then we'll get the same two options for our rectangle sentiments, right? So white text on black, and then here again on that watery, bubbly background. I haven't tried this before with our rectangle sentiments, so let me know what you think of that. They'll also get all of our strip sentiments with white text on black. Again, we have our two whimsical fonts and then our scripty font and this more classic serif font. If you're new here and you're seeing these kits for the first time, also in the description box is a link to the emergency card kit playlist that links to all of the videos that have free kits attached to them to help you find them really easily. Then that $2 tier, a lot of times they just get different versions of the sentiments, but they have a whole bunch of pattern paper this time because I loved these circles so much. And they come in tons and tons of different colors. It's all in a PDF, so you can just print the pages that you want. It should be pretty straightforward. If you are a paid member, that means that in Patreon, you have like a resource folder that will always hold your most recent kit to make sure you can find it. But if you're looking for an older kit, use that search bar on the homepage and just put the kit number in there and it will pop up all the posts that are related to that kit number, the one that is available to everybody, the one that's for friends or supporters. And then the upper tiers have direct downloads in their databases, so they don't have separate posts, and that should keep it so you're not getting like 5 different posts, just 3. So then a couple of these, I did do brighter colors. Our pattern paper that isn't this geometric pattern is a little muted, but I love bright colors. So you're getting a little bit of both here. I just figured let's go for it, right? So all of that is that $2 a month tier. Next is our $5 tier. They're going to get a bunch of bonus pages, but they also have a sketch database. So you can search through all of the past sketches and the kits by theme. It's a Word document. So if you hit Control F or Command F on a Mac, it will pop up a little search bar and you can search by keyword to try to find the kit that you're looking for or to see if it exists. Okay. And then they're going to get a whole bunch of bonus pages as well. I have 8 different ephemera pieces here. Again, there's a circle on this page. This is for me, you guys. I have a really hard time punching them out straight. And so I like the printed circle, and then those will repeat down here at the bottom. Then you get the same images, but without the printed circle. And then those images one more time, and these have that little bit of bubble background. I missed this when I was editing, so I'll remove the black circle from those 2 crowds as well. Then I fell in love with these last kit. I hadn't really done this before. I love the images in the middle here. Let me know if you guys like them as much as I do. So it's most of our same sentiments and then a lot of the ephemera pieces on that watery, bubbly background. And then we have some large circles. So these are 3 inches. They fit perfectly on the sketch. And look, you guys, look at those jellyfish. I just think they're stunning. Then I love this background for maybe assembling a fish die cut and putting that right on top of there. We might do that today. We have a whole bunch of sea creatures and then 2 sort of familiar, they aren't really those characters, but they're the same types of fish. And I have many, many children in my life who would love that. Then we have those same images, but I've added sentiments straight onto them. So you don't even have to worry about, this is a really quick and easy craft and go project. If you couldn't tell how much I loved the jellyfish, just wait. You're going to get all of those jellyfish in large patterns. So you can cut these out to do something smaller, but they will fill your A2 card here. And I just love that. So all 3 of those different jellyfish patterns. And then here's that watery, bubbly background that is behind some of our sentiments. Then this, I think, is just stunning. So if you're making a card or using a sketch that has like a hero paper and you see a lot of it, I think this is perfect for that. Maybe adding just a little bit of glitter on the tentacles here. Are they called tentacles when it's a jellyfish? I don't know. I'm going with it. But I love that one. And then this one is like a lighter, brighter sort of rainbow version of that. So all of that is at that $5 tier. Next, we have our $12 tier. They get the same sketch database, But instead of just linking to the videos, there's also direct downloads so that they can just download the kit straight from the database instead of going back to the video to try to find the kit. And I love that. They also get all of the circle and rectangle sentiments as resizable image files. They're digital stamps with a transparent background unless there was a specific color behind that background. And it makes them really versatile. You can make them bigger or smaller. You can delete the ones you don't want, duplicate the ones you think you'll use the most. Then they also get 8 more pieces of ephemera. Some of my favorites are in here. This little octopus. This one, he looks so dopey. I just think it's adorable. So we get those with the printed circle and then without the printed circle. And then we get them with this bubble background as well, in case you didn't want that to be so stark white. Then we get the large version of that lovely underwater background. Again, you could fill this with die cuts or stamped images or anything like that. I think it would be super fun. This is a little bit bigger, where this one is a little narrower. And I think I like the narrower version better. And then we have these baby crabs. I had to make a bunch of these in all the different colors. We have lavender and light yellow. They're slightly muted colors, and then a very light pink. Again, I like the pastels in the background in part because it's a really great ink saver. And then here we have a light blue as well. This is the same as the bubble background from the beginning, but it's a little closer to tone on tone. And a little more subtle. So if you were thinking the first version was a little too attention grabbing, this is a really great alternative. And then I have a couple more backgrounds that I made that, if I'm honest, they don't necessarily fit the art style or color scheme of what we have, but I made them and loved them. And so I figured if I don't have another use in mind for them, I should just give them to you guys. Look at these bubbles. Look at these bubbles. I think this would be beautiful for some kind of celebration, not necessarily just an underwater themed card. And then we have these lovely watercolor fish that are just sort of whimsical and goofy. Some of them are going up and some of them are going down, but nobody's yelling at anybody. And I really appreciate that. And then this sort of geometric meets soft lines, I really love as well. So all of those are going to be at that $12 tier. And then the last tier is $25 a month, same sketch database, right? So they're going to get direct downloads of all of those PDF kits, along with direct downloads of resizable sentiments and resizable images. That's right. They get all of the ephemera, all of the digital paper as digital stamps. They're PNG files with transparent backgrounds, which makes them super easy to use. And then there's a second database that they get, the sentiment database, that lists all the sentiments we have. And you can search by keyword, by theme, by when it came out, whether or not it has images in it. It makes card making super quick and easy. All right, let's make some cards. So I'm following the sketch. I have a piece that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, 2 pieces that are 2 3/4 by 5 1/2 inches, but I trimmed just a sliver off the pattern paper, maybe 1/8 of an inch. I have an arch, a 3 1/4 inch circle, and a 3-inch circle. So I'm going to begin by layering up my pattern paper and my 2 3/4 inch wide navy cardstock. The sketch doesn't actually show this as a matte end layer, but it's easy enough to just trim a little bit if you feel like your pattern papers are too close in color and you want just a little bit of contrast. This was from that $5 tier of the kit where we have those 3-inch circles, and I'm going to dress it up a little bit with some of the dies from the Spellbinders Die of the Month. So it has a couple small fish, a bunch of like underwater plants. It even has 2 scuba diving. They look like children, I think. But we're just using a couple fish and then a couple of these corally leafy pieces. Obviously, if you've been here, you know, nature and I, yeah. I don't know the names of anything, but they're cute and they go with the paper pretty well. Both of the cards today, we're taking pattern paper and we're sort of dressing it up a little bit. So it doesn't necessarily look like a card that's made entirely of pattern paper. It looks like it's a really special handmade card, even though we're taking a few shortcuts. I love these tiny little fish. They have eyes that poke all the way through. So I did trim just some little scraps of dark gray cardstock for the eyes. I might have done black, but one of my fish is black and pink, and it was just too much like black on black. This little plant, there are 2 of them in the set, and one has a backer piece. So the little holes that poke out at the top You don't have to like drop the little pieces in to make them a different color, but this one didn't. So I will inlay those little die cut pieces later in a darker pink, but you could skip that. You could marker underneath it. You could do scraps of cardstock. There's lots of different ways to do that. I'm using a product that is brand new today. In fact, it's not even quite out yet. You can preview the Spellbinders kit starting on the 1st, but they don't really go up for sale for new club subscribers until the 6th. But check your stash. There's tons and tons of great fish options out there. I'll show you some in just a minute, but I do want to say I nearly bought a new set, even though I already had this one. Doodlebug has some new fish dyes that are absolutely adorable if you like super cute. And then Pink and Main has some really great layered fish die cuts as well. The Underwater Marine Life is about a year old from Spellbinders, has great larger fish in it. And then this one from Hero Arts, I may use next week. I'm thinking about doing another kit video where we make the fun folds that are on the Stretches sketch from this kit. Let me know if you're interested, because there's like a slide and reveal and a flappy fun fold. I have big plans in my head. So I put a single line of score tape all the way around, and that way, even though it's sort of folded and wrinkled, it won't matter, and I can pull it all off in one go. Then I have a 3-inch circle shaker pouch, and I'm going to have to look through my purchase history to figure out where this one was from. But I am just peeling off the protective layer on either side. If I can't find this specific one, I know there's lots of companies that have them. So I'll link what I can find below. I try to make sure I'm centering my circle, and then I'm gently folding, but not folding all the way over on the top one. I'll fold on either side and I'll fold on the bottom. Think of it like a compass, north, south, east, and west. And I want to make sure that all 4 of those points can fold nicely before I start pressing the rest of them into the adhesive. Otherwise, the piece can end up shifted a little bit to one side or the other, and you end up sort of crumpling your paper when you go to finish it. For my underwater bubbles, I'm using 2 embellishments from Trinity Stamps, the Celeste Sparkle Spots that I just got at Paper Ganza, and then these are some like white iridescent, sort of bubbly looking ones. I don't have a name on my box, so I'm going to ask Carrie Rhodes to see if she can help me. If you guys would like to see everything that I got at Paper Ganza, the things I purchased, the things in the swag bag, and some other things that were given to me, cards and stuff from people, let me know. I filmed it when I got home, but I wasn't sure if people actually wanted to see that. So if you're interested, leave me a comment. I'm going to get all of my shaker bits sort of flattened out in there, and then I'll press the rest of those tabs around to the back, and we have our shaker nearly complete. I'm going to go around the back one more time with that Sukwang score tape. This is the stickiest double-sided tape I have aside from red line tape, and red line tape is a little fiddly. So I like to put that over top of the plastic tabs, and then I'll add glue throughout the middle and then on top a little bit of that score tape as well, just so I get a little float time, make sure I can get that centered. I just edited out my head taking up the entire camera while I tried to get it centered. But then here's our arch. I actually just cut this from a scrap. So the left-hand side isn't straight. Don't worry about that. I don't need the whole thing. But your arch is just a half circle, right? It doesn't matter what brand you have. I'm using Spellbinders, but tons of companies have them, and I forget about them and how well they play with circles. So I have sort of an even border around half of my circle, and then the rest of the arch sticking out to the left. If I was going to do this again, I would scoot it up about a 1/4 inch, because I'm barely going to have room for my rectangle sentiment mat at the bottom. Okay. Then I just flipped it over. I trimmed off the extra. Don't tell anybody, it's ever so slightly crooked, but it's going to be fine. Then I have some 1mm thin foam tape on the back of my sentiment mat. You can see I had to put it way, way down there. I'm using a rectangle sentiment, and there are tick marks on here to help you get it cut out. So I'm using my sliding blade trimmer, and I go from the bottom, but I don't go all the way through. I'm keeping the header intact. Then when I sort of pick this up, I have flaps. So I can rotate, and I will still have the tabs on the side, or the tick marks on the side. That way, when I cut these out, they are all perfectly sized. These are 2 1/4 by 1 1/4 inch sentiments. If you have stamps that you love, a lot of them will fit on a sentiment sort of scrap, I guess, of this size or on one of the 1 3/4 inch circle sentiments. So don't neglect your stamps. Those work too. But here it is, my friends. Our first card is done. It is stuffed full of embellishments because I was totally inspired by Libby Hickson from Pink and Maine. Put as many shaker bits as you possibly can into all your shakers. We made this card during Paper Ganza, and my friends, I mean, I knew more shaker bits was better, but then I've never put this many in there before and I lost it. I absolutely lost it. So I hope you'll give that a try. For our second card, again, we're going to try to step things up a little bit. I'm using the 3D embossing folder of the month from Spellbinders. Again, you can't purchase this yet. If you're already an embossing folder subscriber, great. But if you aren't, new subscribers can sign up on the 6th of the month. And I am just sort of using temporary tape to hold that onto the right side. And then I'm using a foam ink pad. So I have to use really gentle pressure, and I'm letting the weight of the pad put ink on it as I sort of drag it over the top of the folder, okay? And so the ink only is going to sit in the depressed areas of the embossing folder, and my raised fish aren't going to be inked. My piece was bigger than I needed because some 3D embossing folders will end up shrinking your cardstock a little bit, right? You're adding lots of dimension and texture. So I trimmed it down afterwards, and that's 2 3/4 by 5.5 inches. And then I have some little strips of silver glitter cardstock. It's from the Treasured Glitter cardstock pack in silver from Spellbinders, but you can get it all over the place. And I just have these sort of sitting around in a bin for when I want a little accent of something sparkly and fun. So I'm going to add those onto the side. I'm using my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive because I think it works best on slick surfaces. And then I'll trim off the excess there. I'll hang on to those bigger pieces as well. This is the August large die of the month from Spellbinders, and it has like a betta fish, a mermaid. It has a little bag to carry your fish in and like a little castle for an aquarium. I just think it's so, so cute. But we're actually just using the fish right now. I know. I know. We'll see if I have time to make another video using some of these supplies because I think they're super cute. For my betta fish, she is majestic. So I used my highfalutin Your Paper Insider cardstock. This is from a couple of years ago, but it's the sort of sequined rainbow black holographic something or other in the background and then pink on top. Then I have my Emergency Card Essentials die set #1 for my scallop, and then just sort of plain circles getting smaller so that the fish would really fill that white shimmer cardstock. I tried to do it with just the white shimmer, and I felt like it needed an extra pop of something. So that's the black circle. I'm going to add that guy to the middle. I thought about turning this into like a tag or an award. There's one of the sentiments says you're officially awesome. Um, but I didn't end up doing that this time. I might do that coming up, something like that. So I printed this on my inkjet printer, and I've had lots of questions about my printers lately. Your paper is more important than your printer. So I printed this on matte photo paper. I use Koala. I just get it on Amazon. I'll link it below if you want to make sure you have the right one. Mine says it's 48 pound, but it feels like 65 pound. And if you check the GSM, that's about right. And then I am inking over it, but this is the first time I've tried to ink onto photo paper. And it went okay. I'm using my really fluffy brushes from Spellbinders. They're super huge, super fluffy. If you're new to ink blending, I think they're really forgiving. But then here, I'm using just like a domed foam, and I'm going through the holes of the stencil of the month from Spellbinders. It does tons of cute underwater things, but I just wanted accents for the bubbles. And I went to go use my cloth to pick up some of that extra pigment ink, and it wasn't coming up. And so then like I even went in and started like pressing harder against it, and it wasn't coming up. You guys, photo paper is nuts. Part of what makes it so great is that it's meant to take dye ink and it sort of sucks it really fast into the paper and it dries really fast. So my pigment ink that I thought for sure would smear dried almost instantly. I usually have to heat set it, and I didn't. So I have gone through now and I've added some darker blue, especially at the corners, so that my printed paper now looks more like hand inked paper. I've added a little bit of shimmer with my stencil, and now I can just layer up my card sketch. I've used a smaller arch on this one. Whatever you want your focal image to be, or maybe this is one of your sentiments, just match the arch to whatever circle you're using. I'm also not going to put this one quite as far to the right. With the larger circle, the 3" and 3¼ inch, I sort of center the circles on the card, but this one's so small, I just centered it on that 2¾ inch panel, and I really like the look of that. Then I'll use my scissors and trim off the excess. You guys, sometimes I get done with emergency cards and I'm like, I could have done so much more, right? I try to keep them simple, but then I'm not really a simple card maker in my head sometimes. I was so thrilled with how both of these turned out. I felt like they were simple, but also had some stepped up elements. Let me know, how complicated do you like your cards? How involved are you willing to get? While I was blabbing away, I finished up trimming out the You're Officially Awesome with white text on black. That's that $2 tier. And we've got lovely glitter and shine on this card. My friends, I would love to know which of these 2 cards is your favorite. If you're interested in the free download, all I ask is that you subscribe to my channel and then check the description box below the video and you'll find everything you need. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I will see you next time.